Hello wrestling fans, my microphone is not muted this time. I am Andy Quad, and with me as always is Liam Dunn.
Hello to anybody who's listening that probably doesn't have GTA 5. That's probably our audience this week, guys. People who just couldn't afford GTA 5, because I tell you one thing, I would much rather be playing on GTA right now than talking... Oh, I don't know why he's doing that. Brilliant.
Oh, brilliant. Great start, Liam.
Yep. But I'd much rather be on GTA 5 right now than talking about anything to do with pro wrestling. I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to be honest.
So bad. I'm also in my freshers week, so I'm currently drinking, which is probably going to make this the most interesting show ever. But also, we have two guests on this show. First of all, we have Carmine.
Sup? Are you sick of me yet? I know I am.
Yes, we are. And also, we have Kaitlyn.
Good evening.
So yes, we are a fatal four-way.
That sounds like really gay pornography. I'm not gonna lie.
This is the worst.
Maybe without the pauses, it would have sounded better.
Yeah, the way you sort of paused made it sound a lot worse than it actually is.
I'm sorry. I just.
Well, it could be a tag team.
Tag team match. Holla, holla, holla.
Holla, holla, tag team match. Anyway, so moving on, we might as well go on with some news. So, good old JR has retired from the WWE. The WWE Hall of Fame announcer Jim Ross has effectively retired from WWE after handing in his notice earlier. Reports the WWE website, he plans to spend time focusing on his own business interests, which include the JR's barbecue range of jerky and sauces found at his JR barbecue website store thing. Ross has revealed in a blog that a biography may be in the planning stages as well. So yeah, JR's gone.
Right, well, I'll kick things off with this one. I gotta be honest, the rumour is that JR has not retired. He was actually fired. That rhymed. Well, anyway, he was fired from the WWE.
Congratulations, Liam.
Yes, thank you. He was fired, and it all stems back from the infamous SummerSlam WWE 2K14 Symposium, where Ric Flair was absolutely hammered, kind of like Andy right now. He was
I'm
hammered.
not hammered. I've had half a Budweiser. What? Why is everyone like you're pissed?
Can I finish my point? Thank you. Fucking hell. Anyway, see, this is what happens. You upset a drunk person and they just jump at you straight away. Anyway, so Ric Flair got really sort of pissed out of his head.
But he wasn't that bad.
Well,
no,
this is the thing. Well, this is the thing.
He was pretty bad.
Well, apparently,
Jim Ross.
Well, what really happened? What really upset WWE officials? It wasn't so much that Ric Flair sort of quote unquote hijacked the symposium. Apparently, it was Flair talking about Reid, his son who died earlier this year. I got to be honest. When I watched that bit, I was a little uncomfortable because I mean, it is still in terms, it is still quite recent, and he was young. It was very tragic. It was quite uncomfortable to hear him talk about it. But apparently, it seems like they've used Jim Ross as the scapegoat, and they've said that he's getting the retirement and not firing, so that the company can save face, because he's got a lot of fans. He's been with the company for a long period of time. I think after Howard Finkel, he's like the second longest employee or something like that. Anyway, yeah. I think that the fact, if this is true, because Jim Ross has said it's not true.
I don't 100% buy it. Like, it really wasn't that big of a deal. Well, there was no mainstream press. No one was up in arms that all this happened.
Well, this is what's weird, right? This is what's weird, because you pointed this out to me, Kaitlyn, that WWE actually uploaded the entire stream of it onto their YouTube account. And you got to remember, in this symposium that they had, they even mentioned TNA by name. So they couldn't have been that upset if they did that.
I think if it really was anything to do with this, it was more like they were talking about his contract, and perhaps Vince McMahon let something slip about the incident, and JR was like, look, if you're going to be an arse, I'm just going to go. But I don't think he was fired, like, outright. It was probably just a straw, a straw that, is that the saying? The straw that broke the camel or something like that?
The straw that broke the camel's back.
Poor camel. But I think that it's probably more likely that happened than, oh, you're fired because of this thing that you didn't even do, and it makes no sense. I don't understand it.
I completely agree. It doesn't make any sense because it's not, in my eyes, it's not his fault. JR was the MC, but when you've got somebody like Ric Flair who just won't get off the microphone, how do you control that? Because it all came down to, apparently, the story is that JR lost control, but how do you control that without kicking Ric Flair off the stage and looking?
You can't.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not. I think this is just an excuse to get rid of JR. Because you think about JR's entire career in WWE, they've had Vince McMahon pulling things literally out of his anus, like
his own head.
I don't know, barbecue sauce,
his own
American
head,
football helmet or something. They've set him on fire. They've fucking done so much to this guy. I'd be like, thank fuck I don't work for this company anymore. If I was him, I'd be like, they take the piss out of me because I'm from Oklahoma. It's just like they don't I don't think they really give a shit.
They don't seem to respect him.
No. And he is the guy, sorry to interrupt, but he's the guy that, like, when you think of big matches and big moments in the past, I don't know, 20 years, it's Jim Ross. Like, people say Golden Soul, he was like the best of all time. Fuck that. Jim Ross was and still is the best of all time.
Well, I think that comes down to what generation you grew up with. Which is really scary because I'm sure some 5-year-olds in about 20 years' time are going to say, Michael Cole was the best! Oh, vintage
No one will ever
this!
say Michael Cole's the best.
I will actually strangle that child if I hear that word come from them. Michael Cole is the best. I will strangle them, and I do not care. I do not care. So, parents, keep your kids in line. If they say Michael Cole is the best at anything, you slap them for me, right? I don't care. I don't care if the police are watching. I don't care if child services give you a call. You slap them and explain to child services why you've slapped them, and they will go, fair enough. And it will be the end of the conversation.
If you go back to what, Andy said though, if you go back through history, it does seem like there's a very weird relationship between JR and Vince. It's like Vince hates him and it's fired him like 7 times or something. And any excuse he can to sort of get rid of him, he does. But he always has to bring him back because he's so much better than everybody else. And it seems like now they're at this stage where JR is at the end of his career. He wasn't really doing anything anymore.
And that's the thing as well. Like,
yeah.
he's not really doing a great deal. I think he was doing some road agent stuff for NXT and stuff like that, and that's about it. So it's like, well, aside from Liam's weird joke where I think he should never have kids,
What?
because my microphone was muted again because I'm a dick. The thing is, JR wasn't really necessarily doing a great deal. It's sad he's gone. I'd like it when he came back for the so-called end of an era match.
But that was over a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people are up in arms about it, going, "How dare you fire Jim Ross?" and all this
He probably
shit.
wanted to go though. That's the point, isn't
That's
it? Like,
the thing. I mean, he says he wants to write his own biography. He wants to fucking sell barbecue sauce. Well, let him go do it. I mean, he said that he might do some stuff in MMA maybe one day.
I'm just waiting for Tim Moss to come into the Impact Zone.
No, TNA's gonna die before that happens.
Well, it's funny. Actually, it's funny you say that because there's a couple of things I wanted to talk to Kaitlyn about concerning the recent article he wrote on WrestlingPundit.com. Not wrestling. What? Yeah, not
That's
Wrestling Truth.
Changed.
It's changed. He wrote on WrestlingPundit.com, and he made an article saying the 5 awesome things about Impact Wrestling. Right? No, look.
I'll just give a caveat.
Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and in fact, Kaitlyn made a few interesting points. Some that I actually agreed with. For example, the backstage segments. I agree with that. I think TNA does have the better backstage segments because it feels more legitimate. It feels more real to me than, like, as he says, the camera that just suddenly appears everywhere at any moment. The one thing, though, I went really high when I said that. The one thing that I want to explain, though, is the point that you made saying that TNA is awesome because it's not PG. And I severely disagree with you there, Keelan, because with that notion,
I do too.
With that notion, and I completely respect your opinions here, but I just feel like I need to make this counterpoint. With the notion saying that because it's not PG automatically makes it awesome, that's like saying The Room is a better film than Toy Story 3 because it has sex scenes in it. Now,
well, it's not that it automatically makes it awesome. It's just the point. I mean, all the way through, I'm not exactly saying, oh, TNA is amazing. I'm just saying these are a few things that set it apart. And if they do things right, then, you know...
I mean, the only problem with having it not PG, right? People always come to me because I'm like the wrestling guy with my circle of friends, and they're like, oh, why can't it be like the Attitude Era? Why can't they just, I don't know, hit each other over the head with fucking chairs and shit? Well, that's TNA, and TNA doesn't work. It's shit.
Well,
that's why
it's not just that. You've got to think the world of 2013 is a very different world to 2003, which wasn't even the Attitude Era. This was the start of the the Ruthless Aggression Era, they always call it, right?
That's not an era.
Exactly. But the thing is, it's a very different world. We've had Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. We've had those two tragedies that have brought to life these terrible things, these terrible working conditions of wrestling. The reason why we can't have the way we used to is because people like Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit, they drop like flies at a very young age.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing about it. Like, the logic where, it needs to be more violent and shit, and I don't know, but it's like, well, in that case, CZW should be like the fucking greatest company of all time, because they fucking smash light bulb tube things around each other's fucking heads, and fucking bleed buckets, and they probably all have
I don't understand what is with the light tubes.
I don't know.
Is it because it just...
I don't know, and whoever likes that is an idiot.
They're the cheapest things they can get, probably.
Just seems like a random weapon. It's like, light bulbs. Like,
no,
what?
but
yeah, CZW is the reason I hate hardcore wrestling now.
But I've like, going back to my original point though. I mean, everyone has their opinions, but I don't think the fact that TNA, and I can understand what you mean. You might not necessarily mean it. You know, it not being PG means that it's not awesome. I understand that, but the way it's. The title of the article made it seem like that was a point you were trying to get across, the fact that because it wasn't PG, it was automatically awesome. And I don't...
Are you telling me that Brooke Tessmacher's ass is not awesome?
Brooke Tessmacher's
well,
ass...
yes, of course it is awesome, but that's not
Brooke's
the point.
ass is really, really awesome. The problem is, it's attached to Bully Ray, and Bully Ray kicks off every impact. Every single impact. He's always out there, and it's just, it's wearing, and it's just like, I don't care.
It's like everything they've done. Like, look at the Aces and Eights, for instance, right? The big payoff should have been the fucking TNA guys, bit like WWE at the moment. The locker room fucking stands behind, like, TNA, and they beat the living shit out the Aces and Eights, and they kick them out, and Bully goes away forever. But instead... Aces and Eights are kind of just imploding within itself, which is terrible, and now they're trying to push this new faction called Ego, whatever the hell happened.
Oh, there's another one!
Yes, and that involves Christopher Daniels.
Total non-stop factions.
It's just, I don't mind factions, but at least, like...
Not when everyone's in one!
Yeah, and give yourself the payoff, for fuck's sake. That's like in this storyline, Triple H just pedigrees Cody Rhodes, and then it's like, the end. It's like, it wouldn't make any sense, and TNA are so stupid.
To be honest, I'm surprised.
They can't even...
I'm surprised they
can't
haven't
even
done...
give a payoff that they want.
I'm surprised they haven't done what WCW did and make factions within factions. Like NW Black and White and NW... Like Aces and Eights is... Like, they split into two groups, Aces and Eights fucking blacks, or... that's not racist. But...
Oh my god!
I just realised what I said.
You fucking twat!
They can't. Devon's already gone.
But you know what I mean.
Oh god, they kicked out a black person as well, didn't they? Oh my god! You can't say that! Jesus Christ! Okay, anyway, back to my original point. The stable is stupid. It's called Aces and Eights, but there's like... There's like 4 or 5 people! It doesn't make sense anymore! Dave Lagana just watched Sons of Anarchy and thought, this is the greatest thing ever. Tossed himself off, and every time fucking Aces and Eights comes out, he's got his hand down his trousers and just jerking off. Because he's just like, you know, it'd be really good if we have the Aces and Eights feud against each other. Oh my god, it's so fucking good. Like, no, what is this shit?
I'm waiting for Jeff Jarrett to return and start cooking meth.
Yeah, no. You know what the most successful point in TNA wrestling was? Ironically, was when Jeff Jarrett was in charge. And now you got Hulk Hogan, and well, we might as well segue because Hulk Hogan's contract is about to run out.
Thank
And it's
the Lord.
yeah, Hulk Hogan's contract with TNA Wrestling expires in early October, and so far there is no public announcement that he's re-signed with the promotion. Hulk Hogan agreed to a 2-year deal in 2009, along with Eric Bischoff, that would see him utilized as an on-air character and unofficially as a backstage consultant. He and Bischoff then re-signed for at least another 2 years in 2011. And basically, we don't know if he's re-signed or not, but it may not be the case that Dixie Carter is going to decide whether or not they keep him or not, because TNA have been releasing everyone left, right, and centre, such as Mickie James and Ken Anderson, whose contracts have expired.
Well, I just want to...
These two I don't understand.
Well, using the Hulk Hogan thing, let's talk about the Hulk Hogan thing for a second.
Yeah.
Using the Hulk Hogan news, I just want to talk about something that's happened to this show, and it's been going on for about 2 years or so now. There's a guy who listens to this show, and he goes on YouTube, and he's by the name Jeremy McCullough or something.
Or our show.
Yeah, he listens to our show, and he's called Jeremy McCullough or something like that. He's the guy,
Yeah.
basically, what it is that he's a massive fan of the Supla. He loves listening to the Supla. Up until the point we say anything negative about Hulk Hogan, at which point he says, we're twats, he wants the Queen to die, he dislikes the video, and then he
Is
emails...
this the same person that left a comment on my article recently and said, stop hating on Hulk Hogan?
Probably.
And I didn't even mention Hulk Hogan once in the article.
And he also
Leave
messaged...
Hulk Hogan alone!
He also messaged Kaitlyn saying that apparently I'm a bully.
What? No.
Because
Hulk
no,
is the new Triple H.
because it all came back down to the fact that I said, look, you just stop trolling, okay? Seriously. And then I blocked him from the YouTube channel so he couldn't comment anymore. And then he goes on to... And then he emails me saying that apparently his dad's died of cancer, right?
God.
And then I say, I don't believe you. And he says, I'm a bully to Kaitlyn. Anyway, I just think that it's people like him that are causing TNA to go down this terrible road of just keeping old people around. Because as Sting said, there's people that don't want to see his generation go. But the problem is, that's a minority.
Yeah.
That's anyone who listens to our show, I would say probably at least 8, maybe 9 out of 10 would probably agree with us on the Hulk Hogan thing. Everyone else would probably say, no, Hulk Hogan's the best, stop taking the piss out of him. But if we listen to that 1%, then our show would just, I'm going to be honest, if we just, didn't make fun of Hulk Hogan, the show just would be shit.
Well, yeah. You got to think about all the things Hogan has done. Well, apparently for TNA, which he hasn't actually done. Like, when he first came in, he fucking brought in all of his fucking washed up 60-year-old friends in, like the Nasty Boys and fucking Orlando Jordan, and they brought all these useless people in, and then he was like, we ain't gonna have no 6-sided ring, bro. Where's no playpen? Where you come from, bro, dude? Like, he fucking got rid of the 6-sided ring. He then told fucking Dixie to go on the road when they clearly weren't ready to do it. Because this is why they've got no fucking money and they're fucked. This guy is a waste of human resource. He is useless. He's a shit on air character. No one talks like him. Ever. No one. No one says brother, Jack, dude, or goes, let me tell you something. Like, no one talks like that. He's just shit, and my housemate just yelled. And this is just complete shit. He's a stupid, handlebar-wearing, old, senile wanker that needs to get off my screen, because he's just pointless. He serves no purpose. He's a drain on this company's resources, where they've actually fired and had to fucking let go people like Mickie James, Ken Anderson, and all the fuck they had in their development territory with gut check. This guy is a shithead. He is like a con artist. He's just a complete and utter fucking joke. And the only fucking person that made him who he was Vince. And that was it. And Vince is a genius because he's the only guy that can control this guy. Because as long as Hulk Hogan is individually on his own with his good friend Eric, who's also a complete shithead, who has no idea what the hell he's doing, without someone else going, Hulk, these ideas are stupid. Dixie's obviously...
But he's not in creative or anything. I mean, he's more of an on-air character. I think that's the problem. He's an on-air character.
Well, somebody fucking must love this guy. Hogan has obviously had some influence over the decision-making process. But the fact that they decided to go Monday nights in the first place, he's had some kind of influence. You can't say he hasn't had some kind of influence on TNA's direction, because he obviously has. And he's obviously just gone, well, let me tell you something, Dixie, we need to go on the road and go live every week, because that's not going to...
I think the problem is Dixie is too stupid to ignore his input. He doesn't have an official role, but if he says something, she's like, oh, cool,
yeah, that's my point. That's the difference between Dixie and Vince. Vince has a brain. Dixie is stupid. She's got no, she was the same person, I think, last week, where we were saying, oh, we can bring in MMA people because they can work in our industry. No, that doesn't make sense. So it's Hogan. He's a shithead, and he's a waste of money. And now a bunch of talented people have been fired, and your roster is now depleted to a turd because of literally a turd with a handlebar mustache.
I think the main problem with Hogan is himself. He's a massive name in the industry. You can't take that away from him. He's a legend, but he doesn't know how to give back without taking away from other people. He doesn't need to be an on-air character. You know, he gets a massive reaction by the live audiences, but that's a nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
If I was at a TNA show live, I'd probably cheer Hulk Hogan. I've never seen him before. He's a legend, but that's in the arena. He's not a compelling TV character that drives ratings. He's somebody you go see in person.
Yeah.
So I think there's ways you can utilize him, but his ego gets in the way.
And by all means,
he needs to be kept off television and used as an attraction for when they go to each town. You know, make him do signings, make him go out on the radio and promote.
But he doesn't do that. He appeared in like Toronto and talked to the Toronto mayor and had an arm wrestling contest. Did he mention TNA once? No. So it's like he can't even do that right. He doesn't even promote your company that he works for. He's a leech. He is a blood-sucking parasite on this company that's actually killing it.
I couldn't put that any better than myself, to be honest. I think Andy's got he's hit the nail on the head. He's hit it right on the frickin' head. Because
he's a blood-sucking, waste-of-space parasite.
You've got to think, the amount of money they're paying Hulk Hogan, they could have probably paid, I don't know, maybe 2-3 people to stay on. Instead of promising some guy who broke his neck in your ring, promising him that he's got a job for life, and then firing him because you're running out of money, how about fuck Hulk Hogan and honour the promise you gave to the guy who gave his health to a match?
Yeah, the guy nearly... I mean, he could have died from the injury he had. Because if
he could have been permanently paralysed, at least.
Well, yeah, and it's like... You're gonna fire him? You promised him a job for life, that you pay all of his medical bills, but now his fucking family have gone bankrupt because you're keeping this old senile wanker around.
Yeah, and the most annoying thing is Hulk Hogan and Bischoff playing their little politics on Twitter. Whenever anyone's released, they're like, "Oh, I didn't have anything to do with this. Oh, I'm really sorry. You were a really good talent. Good luck in your future," and all this shit. It's like, you're the reason they're gone because they're paying you too much fucking money.
But it may not be indirect. Like, they might not be directly saying, "Oh, hey, I want this guy fired because I want my money." But indirectly, you are the reason why this is happening, because it's like, Dixie seems to think you're great. You're not. Go away. Like, Eric has not done anything good. The only reason Eric and WCW was successful was because they had infinite money. And I'm not saying Panda Road Energy is not like $1 million company or whatever, but Ted Turner was Ted Turner. He owned things like CNN. He ran an entire fucking, I don't know, regime type thing, a media conglomerate, and the difference is TNA has just existed based on Bob Carr's money. That's it. That's the only reason why it's existed. Ted Turner actually liked wrestling. When anyone said this WCW it's a waste of money, why do you have it? Ted would put his foot down and go, "Fuck you, I want this WCW, and this is the last word I'm gonna fucking say about it." But Bob Carr has obviously, for some reason, after 11 years, has gone, "Oh my god, how much money are we wasting on this piece of shit? Can you please, like, cut the costs? Just do something."
I think another entity, though, that we're kind of ignoring is Spike TV.
Oh, yeah,
I think
god, I was going to get onto that.
Because Eric Bischoff has the history of being an executive producer with WCW, and he's dealt with TV officials, and he has kind of that background, and he obviously knows how to sell himself. He sold himself to become the WCW honcho to begin with. He wasn't even qualified. Jim Ross wanted to take that role, but he kind of just waltzed in there with his big grin and sold himself on it. But I think Spike TV sees him as a suit that they can rely on to kind of do what they want to do. And they also see Hulk Hogan as this giant name that, I mean, they obviously aren't looking at the numbers and kind of looking at it objectively, but they see him as a giant name. When he first came into the company, there was a big press conference in New York with Spike TV officials and whatnot. So I think Bischoff and Hogan have kind of got their claws in with Spike TV, and their departures might not be as simple as everybody else's.
Yeah, the only thing is I think Spike is a major problem because they're just using TNA as, like, Bellator's bitch. Because it's just like they brought in the MMA guys. Yes, they're gone now, but they basically using whatever resources they have to help promote their shitty MMA company, which cannot remotely compare to UFC. And TNA are just getting fucked. They're fucking themselves over, and then they're getting fucked over by these other people. It's
and Spike TV is so blind. They're so blind, they don't realise that wrestling fans aren't going to watch MMA because MMA guys are on wrestling.
Yeah.
And MMA fans are going to say, "Fuck you, I'm not watching this because this has got some goofy wrestling involvement." So they've just fucked themselves over both ways. It doesn't work. They just ignore it. Have adverts on the show or something. They don't bring in guys and have Tito hit him with a hammer and so. It's like ridiculous. All the MMA fans are laughing at it.
Dead air.
Did I drop off?
No, just for some reason it's gone dead air. Anyway, going back to what I think Andy said about Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan playing politics, the one thing that I wanted to just sort of jump into was it's not really anything that's recent, but it's something that really just it grates me, to be honest. And it's when people like Eric Bischoff and Taz go on Twitter and go, "Oh, the wrestling journalists, quote unquote journalists, or whatever it is, spreading lies or whatever," and then they go on, they don't know what they're talking about, right? I just want to say to these guys, it is these websites that are talking about you, that are keeping you relevant, right? The fact that people are showing an interest, not only in you, but the product you represent, and you're just sort of fucking about with them and making fun of them. I think that's ridiculous. Yes, They won't get everything right. But guess what? Neither does mainstream news. You watch ITV News or Fox News. Well, no, don't watch Fox News. But you know what
Don't watch that piece of shit.
It's going to get stuff wrong. So the fact that you go on Twitter... Hang on. The fact that you go on Twitter and make fun of these people and say that they don't know what they're talking about, much like Quan Chang did about a year ago... Right?
Please don't open that can of fucking worms.
The fact... I just want to tell these people, get off your fucking high horses. Seriously. It pisses me off. What right do you have to treat your fans this way? Stop acting so elitist.
Or the entertainment hates their fans with so much passion. you get the same... It's the same with WWE. It's like... They're always trying to get one over on the marks, the stupid marks, all these people. It's like, no, they're fans. They just enjoy it a little bit more than other people and
they're
like to talk about
fans.
it and like to be critical of the product. That happens in movies and music.
We are in their demographic that TNA are aiming for, and they're telling us to shut up. Why is the fucking sense in that? That's why your company is shit and it's going down the toilet. Why else do you fucking possibly think it's dying? Because you're telling me to shut my fucking face. No, that doesn't make any sense. If I go, the Aces and Eights are shit and I don't want to watch this, do something about it. Don't keep them on the screen because you think I want to watch it. You know what? I won't watch it. And the only reason I watch your shit is to get pissed because we invented a drinking game for every time something stupid happened. And guess what? We got hammered. Totally hammered. Because your company is actually a joke.
I just think it's sickening the way they do it because it's just there's people who...
Where's the logic in it? There's no business logic in it. It's like going to McDonald's and going...
It's like going into McDonald's and saying... It's like going into McDonald's... It's like going into McDonald's and saying, oh, this Big Mac doesn't look like the pictures... And then the manager's just coming out, shoving it in your face and saying, get out, you fat fuck. What's the logic in that? There's people out there, Eric. There's people out there, Taz, that not only invest time, but invest money into the product you're representing. And you call them morons. In fact, to be honest, they are morons because they're supporting TNA, but that's besides the point.
The thing is, wrestling is stuck... It's still stuck in this bizarre world where they think kayfabe exists and they still try and act like they're getting one over on everyone. But then, instead of being fully open and honest with their creative decisions and having their writers go on television shows and talk... I mean, you have the Talking Bad for Breaking Bad and the Talking Dead for... The Walking Dead, and they talk about the storylines, and everyone's all open and honest, and they do podcasts, the directors and everything. But in wrestling, they still try and keep it secret. But then they, on the flip side, they try and say, well, we've got to cater to the internet fans. Let's do a work shoot and get one over on them again. It's like, no, just have a good product, and then be open and honest about what you're doing when the program's over. When it's a show, make it a show and make it good. Then afterwards, act like any normal industry.
Why can't you base this on reality? Why can't you base, like, one of the best storylines of all time was the summer of Punk, when Punk was about to leave with the title. And, I mean, if you want to fucking fuck us over and make us think we're not as smart as what we actually are, I mean, like, that wasn't I mean, okay, it was worked in a sense now, but why can't you base things on reality? Why can't you just be like, oh, I don't like this guy because he's a cocky, arrogant prick. What do you think UFC does well? I mean, for fuck's sake, why can't you just not do hokey, stupid motorcycle gang shit? And why don't you just be like, I just won the Bound for Glory series, I really want the fucking world title, and this dickhead is going to try and stop me. That's good versus evil, but based in reality, so why can't you just do that?
Guys, we're missing one very vital piece of logic here.
And that is?
So, AJ goes off and does another pipe bomb promo.
Oh,
but this one was on a pre-recorded show. Why didn't they just... If it was real, why didn't they just edit it out?
Because logic is just gone in TNA has no logic structuring their writing, any of their storylines. Nothing they do like you guys are saying, is based in reality. Everything they do is so ridiculously kayfabe that it's unbelievable.
They try.
Like literally, you can't.
Yeah.
It's impossible to follow it and believe it.
They try and
The
get
thing is,
one over on the fans.
they've gone to this extreme where they know the fans are criticizing them. There's all these reasons why they're doing it. We want to know what's happening to this company, all these cuts and everything. And instead of actually addressing these problems in real life, they turn Dixie Carter heel and then make AJ bring some of the stuff up. And it's like, no, don't bring it out on camera. That's not what we want. We want you to actually fix the problems.
Is it me? Hang on, is it me, or have they turned Dixie Carter into the
They're
same
burying
character?
themselves.
Have they turned Dixie Carter into the same characters that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon are? These sort of, well, we're doing it best for business. You know what I mean?
That's all TNA's ever done, though, is copy. That's all they do is copy WWE.
But the difference is that you know Triple H has some kind of standing in the company. You know that. Fucking turning Dixie heel for no reason. By the way, that segment, that AJ Styles segment and the Dixie Carter segment, the worst thing I've ever seen in the past 10 years. They're just so bad. They can't talk. I don't give a fuck. You can see visibly in the crowd people are bored.
It's just like... No, you're right in the fact that the reason... Like, everyone's comparing this to the Summer of Punk. Right, because it's the only thing that we can. It's supposedly they're even calling
it's a direct carbon copy of it, but a shit one.
They're even calling it the AJ pipe bomb, right? Because
apparently said I'm better than the best in the world. Or something.
No, you're not. You're a fucking redneck.
They're forcing us to compare the two, and it's obvious that AJ is not better than CM Punk.
The problem is though, is that when Punk did his pipe bomb 2 years ago, everything he said was true. He knew it to be true. That's why he said it, and you believed it. You could see in his eyes that what he was saying was true. It wasn't scripted. He was saying that he was getting overlooked and screwed over.
He was pissed off.
He was pissed off, and you believe that. Whereas when you look at the AJ Styles promo, it looks like someone's told him to say that stuff.
Oh boy.
It looks
I'm
like...
AJ Styles, and I hate TNA, even though I love working here. Doesn't make sense.
It looks like somebody's told him to say this. I don't believe what he's saying, and not in that. Oh my god, it's amazing! I don't believe what he's saying. Isn't in that I don't actually believe what he's saying. It's like I don't buy into it because it sounds like someone's told him to say it.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense because he's gone. I hate this company, but I love being the guy that everyone comes to. Like, no. When Punk did it, Punk was like, fuck this company, it is shit, I am leaving. AJ's like, I've won the Bound for Glory series, I want to win the shitty company shitty title, and I hate the shitty shithead that runs this shitty company. Nothing makes sense about what he's saying. Why are you mad? You're an idiot.
He is basically just saying, I hate this company, but I'm going to stick around.
That's what he's just fucking
That doesn't make sense, AJ! That does not make sense.
You're redneck with your stupid tattoo and your fucking ugly ass hair. What a knob. Like, I hate
Dixie Carter completely buries him. It's like, you haven't had a 5-star match in years. You suck. And he does suck, it's true.
Look, can you imagine after Punk sat on the ram, said all that stuff, and Vince comes out going, you're a fucking geek. Like, no, that burying the living shit out Punk would have been terrible. This is what I mean. TNA is like what I would imagine WWE would actually be like in a parallel universe, where they'd just be completely awful. But the downside is that TNA in our universe is that. It's just like, why do these fucking people still exist? Oh,
why do they always feel the need, like, even with Triple H and Stephanie and all that, why has it now become normal in wrestling, a simulated sport, okay, it's a simulation of the sport, why is it now normal to have these owner characters that are always coming out and chatting bollocks? Why is that now a regular theme? Can't we just have a wrestling product? With wrestlers that hate each other and stuff? Like, why does there have to be this evil boss that's, you know, talking about contracts and people sucking and all this politic bollocks? Why do you have to bring that up?
No, I
give us a
don't.
good product. There's umpteen different storylines you could use. Why do you have to always have a boss?
No, I'll tell you, for me, what it is, what the difference is. You look at Triple H, this Triple H boss storyline, and to me it works because people do know about the backstage politics, all the way back to the Click in the 90s. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows Triple H has been very tight with that sort of stuff. Everyone knows he's played politics. Can we not forget the burying of 2003? Right? Everyone knows this.
Oh God,
Everyone
don't remind me
knows
of that,
this.
please God.
And that's why it works. Because it's playing off something that we know. Not just from a kayfabe, behind the scenes sort of thing, but like, we know it as in, he's done it with his character. That's why in character he formed Evolution to make politics, so he had backup, so he never lost the belt. It worked in a behind the scenes storyline, in that anyone who follows backstage news knows it to be true, and it follows a storyline point of view as well, in that that's what Triple H's character has always been like. The reason why it doesn't work with TNA and Dixie Carter is that Dixie Carter's always going on Twitter going, hey, let's do Ask Dixie, and all this sort of stuff, and then just suddenly it's like, I'm gonna turn heel. It's like, it's true, it's come out of nowhere.
That's the greatest quote in this show, in that exact voice. It's like, I'm gonna turn heel. What the fuck? She's so shit. She can't talk. She can't do anything. She should just not exist on the screen. She's worse than Hogan. She's like the fucking... Like, Hogan is like right, and fucking Dixie Carter is like on the left. And that is like the two worst things you can possibly be. Like, I don't understand. Like, Hogan was like, oh, Dixie Carter turning heel is a game changer. How?
You realise she's going to fire him when his contract expires. On camera, it'd be like something to get heat.
No, it won't get heat because the crowd are gonna.
I'll tell you one thing. I'll be cheering at home. I'll be like, Dixie's redeemed herself.
There will be parties in the streets when Hulk Hogan leaves. There will be ticker tape parades when Hulk Hogan leaves. Like, the entire world will suddenly sing in unison. Celebrate good times. Come on, like. What the fuck? That's not the right thing to do.
And people might be like, why are you always hating on TNA? It's because we want it to do well. There's so much potential, and every single time they do something stupid, it's like they had Paul Heyman at their fingertips and they let him go. They invited Jim Ross to Bob Carter's ranch in 2010, and Ross was like, right, give me some control, give me some creative control. I want to be an executive. I'm going to help you turn this all around. And they're like, no, we're going to bring in Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan, the people that...
Because they've got a good track record
previously.
They just... I don't know. They just seem to... And yeah, as Keelan said, we want to see this company succeed. Me and Andy have said this several times. In case
I don't want them to die. They die. This show dies. What will I talk about?
In case there's any TNA marks out there thinking, oh, you guys are just hating on TNA for the sake of it because it's what's popular. It's popular because it's the truth.
It's not popular. No. I'm going to have to stop you. It's not popular. It's common sense, for fuck's sake. It's not the popular thing to do. This company is shit. It just is. Like... My housemates watched TNA last night. One of them doesn't watch wrestling probably ever, and the other guy hasn't watched wrestling in 10 years. And he's gone, this is bollocks. This is complete shit. So even when you have two people that don't even fucking like this business, fucking say it's shit. It's shit. It's not the popular thing to do. It's common sense. Continue.
Well, I gotta admit, I've kind of forgotten what I was going to say. But,
sorry, I'm just a shithead.
Well, no, it's true though, and you're right. It's common sense, and we want to see this company succeed. We do. That's why we're so critical of it, because we want. They're probably not ever going to listen to this show, but in my heart, I want them to listen to this show, and I want them to take on board what we're. Okay, maybe we're saying it in an overly aggressive manner, but guess what? It's entertainment. That's what you got to do sometimes. So that's something that TNA obviously has not heard of.
Because they're not entertaining.
Exactly. But we want them to listen to what fans are saying. Don't listen to what Eric Bischoff is telling you. Eric Bischoff is stuck in the frickin' 90s. Listen to
Bischoff
what
is a
we
shit.
want. If you give us what we want, we will buy it. It's simple. You try and tell us what we want, we rebel. We don't want it. It's trying to force us. It's trying to control us. It doesn't work. Does anyone not remember any of the dictatorships? It doesn't work. You've got to give people what they want.
Yeah. And the thing is that this is going to be the most controversial thing I've ever said, but do we need a TNA? Do we need a second company right now?
Yes,
I can't
do
remember
think we do.
WWE being this good. I really can't. Aside from John Cena, but even then, the Daniel Bryan and John Cena. John Cena is an annoying character. He's a twat, granted, but when you stick him with the right people like Daniel Bryan or CM Punk, you can get decent matches out of the guy. You can have a decent feud. Do we need?
I would say
a
yes.
TNA?
No, I would say we do, and I'll tell you why. Right? You're saying WWE is good, and I agree, it is. It's been the best that I've seen it in a very long period of time. The problem with WWE now, compared to, God forbid me referencing this, but compared to the Attitude Era,
Oh God.
right? And I don't want to be one of these people that goes on about how great the Attitude Era was, because let's face it, the Attitude Era did have some.
I've got a
stinky
funny
moments.
article coming out about the Attitude Era. It's going to be the 10 most terrible gimmicks that you've forgotten from the Attitude Era.
And so it should,
keep
because I
your
think
eye
the
out for that.
Attitude Era is overly. I think it's looked back with rose-tinted glasses. But as I was
Yes.
saying, the problem is you look back at
Yeah,
something.
it's formerly known as Goldust.
The problem is you look back at something like the Attitude Era, which was mainly consistently good. You might have had the one or two dips here and there, but it was mainly consistently a good product. WWE, and Andy, you've got to admit this. Usually, you get a good storyline for about a month or two, and then it goes into shit again. Look at Summer of Punk. That was great, and then we got shit.
we're in that now, to be honest.
Look at the summer of AJ Lee. That was great for about 2 or 3 months, and then that went to shit. Look at, and I have a feeling once Cena comes back, maybe not when Cena comes back, but usually it's when Cena comes back, it's going to go into that lull period, and it always is sort of around SummerSlam. This sort of stuff happens. I've noticed that for the past 3 years, it's about SummerSlam. This stuff either starts or ends.
I think I've been suckered in by this good storyline. I think you're right. I think we're in that period
And
now.
I think it's as Brooks says. He he thinks that there's that TNA needs to exist, or at least a second company, because he
Well,
says,
there needs to be something that reminds us that that this isn't sports entertainment.
Well, I
it's
was going to
wrestling.
say what it is. Well, Brooks says it's because everything needs an equal and opposite, and I see what he means. But for me, I think what it is that I'm not so much a WWE fan. I'm a wrestling fan, And if we have that second product, you've always got that other product to go to if the first product isn't satisfying your needs in a weird kind of sexual way. I kind of just phrased it.
So you're saying cheating on women is fine?
No, I didn't say. You have now just twisted my words completely. What I mean,
Continue. I knew what you meant. I'm being a twat.
basically, is that if you, let's say WWE was putting out a product that wasn't that great, and you go to TNA and it was something that was different, right? And it was actually good, different, not like carbon copy shit.
Take note, TNA. Different.
Right.
6-sided ring, X division.
Yeah, exactly.
Forget about that.
What
Yeah.
is this X division with a fucking weight limit on it? Like, what is that?
Worst character ever.
The whole point of the X division was the tagline, it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. And then a couple of years later you go, actually no, it is about weight limits now. Like,
It's stupid.
so it's
It's
basically the
stupid.
Cruiserweight belt. It's the Cruiserweight Championship you guys have now got. Basically.
Wait a minute. Cruiserweight title, Eric Bischoff. No, there's something that is kind of the connection. Wait, no. Let me get back to you on that one.
So, if they did a completely different product, then I think that's fine, because that keeps the wrestling industry alive. Right now, you've got one good product and one bad product that is an imitation
It's
of the
kind
good
of
product.
yeah,
It's
an
kind of like,
imitation.
you know what it is, right? It's like look at WWE. Right now, at this very moment, WWE is Coca-Cola. Right? It's Coca-Cola. You see it, it's a bit more expensive, it's a bit more high product, but you know what? It's good quality. You know what you're getting with it. Then you look down on the bottom shelf of the supermarket store, and you see Roller Cola. The own brand cola. It's going for about 15p. and it tastes like something a horse has pissed out. But it's cheap. It's cheap, and it's the same amount. It's both 2 litres, but it's cheap. That's what it is. WWE's Coca-Cola, TNA is the own brand supermarket cola. That's what it is.
Are you saying TNA equals piss?
Pretty much. Not even normal piss. Horse piss.
And just like TNA, it's much better with Jack Daniels.
No, it's not. What is Jack Daniels? Oh, that's Ring of Honor at the moment. There we go. Or PWG. Watch PWG. That shit's good. But no, I mean, like, I don't know. It's just like TNA's existence is the most infuriating thing on this planet. And I love how at Night of Champions they were like, "Who is the greatest United States champion of all time?" Sting. Which just proves that fucking or not all of the audience that watch WWE have no idea what's happened to Sting, where he is. They're just like, "Oh yeah, Sting. What happened to that guy?"
Yeah, why do we think RVD was so shit in TNA and was just doing nothing and was basically sleeping in the ring? Because he knows that when he goes through an airport, everyone's asking, "When are you going back to WWE? Where have you been?"
Yeah, they
thought he had
retired. People had thought he had retired.
Yeah. People were asking
He was the
RVD on
TNA
Twitter.
champion at one point, and people thought he had retired.
Yeah, people have actually asked him on Twitter, "Well, what are you doing with yourself now? I mean, you're not in WWE, so I assume you're retired. I mean, what are you doing?" He's gone, "Whoa, bro, I'm, dude, I'm in TNA. Oh, fuck it, never mind."
Just forget about it. I'll just go back.
That's literally basically what he said.
It is though, but it's true. Like, WWE does not even consider TNA competition, and why should they? Why should they? They're not proving themselves to be competition. TNA, I've always said this, TNA is that really shitty e-fed you find online ran by 12-year-olds.
Yeah, it is. It's not even that, because 12-year-olds would bring in, like, Randy Orton, CM Punk, Dolph Ziggler, Bully Ray, Samoa Joe. This is not even that anymore. It is like, it's like, you didn't. I like to play EWR, and you're playing a game, and it's like you have forgotten to renew everyone's contract. So all you have left, or half of them have gone to Japan, and like fucking, you've got no one left because everyone's doing other shit or gone. And you're like, oh fuck.
Even when they do have the chance to bring in some, like they talk about how we're now going to make it about new stars, and they never bring in the good new stars. Like, if you're starting an X division, like a new X division, don't bring back the guys that you've already fired years ago and are past their prime already.
Yeah.
Bring in someone like Pac. Oh no, he went to developmental. Bring someone like Prince Devitt. Oh no, he signed to developmental in WWE. You let the Young Bucks go. I mean, there might be arseholes backstage and they're better than they are or whatever, but they're these young, crazy, flippy, floppy guys. That's what the X division is. Bring in somebody that's actually interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Why does it?
And this is the thing. This is the exact reason, right? WWE are doing everything right because they're hiring all the guys from the independent scene, and TNA have brought in Gunner.
Yeah, really.
Gunner! Who the fuck is Gunner? It's just everyone in TNA has a fucking beard for some unknown reason as well. Like, they have a hard-on for fucking Sons of Anarchy and beards. This company deserves to fucking die. There's nothing wrong with beards. My housemate has a beard. It's glorious. But they have a hard... Not everyone should have a beard, but they're just like... This company is just shit. They just don't know what they're doing anymore. They don't know whether to call themselves Impact Wrestling, TNA, shit. I don't know. And they...
Bikes and beards.
They don't know. They don't know themselves. And if they don't know themselves, then how the fuck am I supposed to know?
Yeah, and they don't even have any faith in what they do because, you know, they started this new X division with the three-way rule, and we're going to do it like this, and then they change it again like 2 months later. They don't have any faith in their own decisions.
This is the thing. WWE, when they do something, which I'll give them credit for, they stand by it, and they just do it, right? Even the fucking WWE Network, which they promised 2 years ago was going to happen, that never actually happened, but they still talk about it like it's going to happen. At least they fucking, like, have conviction in what they say. TNA is just like, yeah, we're gonna have three-way X Division matches, and oh no, we won't anymore. Love Manic, please love Manic. Like, fuck this company.
But they do good backstage segments.
They do.
That's it. That's all they got going from.
But you can't base the quality of a product on the backstage segment.
Based on backstage fucking segments. Ooh, the way they do their camera angles are great. Like, no, you can't base an entire fucking company on this. Like, even their X Division is bollocks. They've got rid of Mickie James, who is one of the most talented women on the face of this earth.
Yeah, what they don't even have any. They've got like 3 women now. That's about it. Like,
Just,
and
what's
it's funny,
going
Keelan,
on?
it's funny you say that because you said in your article that TNA has the superior women's division.
Oh, they fucking well don't.
In general, I'm not like that. When they give the women the time, they give them the time. Put it that way. I know they're going through problems and they've released people.
I see what you mean, but I got to be honest. I thought AJ versus Kaitlyn a couple of months back was one of the highlights of WWE
I
wrestling
can't
in a
stand
while.
Kaitlyn.
That was one of the greatest matches of the year, for Christ's sake.
By the way,
Oh, you don't like Kaitlyn?
I was
No.
I got to be honest. Me and a friend of mine, we were googling things, and there's a couple of websites that is dedicated to fan stories. I forgot what they're called, but they're
Brasless.
No, it's not Braz. You're close though. But they're
Okay.
fan written stories. Like I forgot, they've got a specific name. But I
Oh
forgot it.
no! Is this the kind
I
of
think
shit
it's
you
called
find on
I think it's called
Tumblr?
This is
I think it's called a fan fiction.
fan fiction. That's the one. Anyway, it was.
Oh,
one.
it's all this shit you find on Tumblr. That's why I stopped using
No,
that like
it's
years ago.
not. It's not Tumblr. There's a website specifically dedicated to it. She pointed it out
Really?
to me. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyway, it was a story about AJ and Kaitlyn, and it was entitled "Kaitlyn's Big Secret," with big,
Oh, she's.
with big being the main bolded word in the title.
Oh, she has a dick.
See, I like
Yeah,
Kaitlyn. I
she
don't
was-
wanna-
Oh, she's got a penis.
That was the
I like
story.
Kaitlyn. I don't ever want to hear this or be anywhere near this.
Looks like a lady. It's a chap.
But and at the end of the story, AJ actually says, "Oh my God, Kaitlyn, I'm so glad you're a she-male," and that's how it ends. You can imagine what they
Okay,
did.
quick question.
before.
So many questions are popping into my head right now. One, who is that deranged to write this? Two, like, I don't care if you like chicks with dicks. I mean, that's your thing. I don't personally like that, but that's a bit weird.
Yeah, why has that become a thing? Like, you go on porn sites and now there's a category. It's like she.
There's a
What?
category of
When
it?
is this a thing?
It's like, right, why are you discovering this? What is happening? What has happened to this show?
I
We
wasn't-
have 2 beers and we're talking about chicks with dicks.
I'm just saying, where did this come from? Why is it now a thing?
Why is this show just disintegrated into women with and or balls? What's gone wrong?
You know what? You know
How
what's
did we
even
get here?
worse? You know what's even worse?
What?
We're out of time.
Oh, great! So we're gonna
So we're
end the
ending
show
on
with
that.
that. Jesus
We-
Christ,
we have-
Liam!
we-
This needs to have an explicit rating on iTunes because if it doesn't, then fucking hell.
We have to end the show talking about Kaitlyn being a she-male.
This-
What a show, eh? What a show. The super.
This has been the best episode. I should drink more when I'm
I
doing
think
this.
you should play her theme music just to lighten the mood.
What, her theme
Well-
music?
Can I just do the outro now?
I think we should just do the outro, to be honest.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye, and thank you for listening to the Super. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and thank you to our 2 guests. We'll see you soon. Bye.
There's